Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel.
Hi.
Today we're going to give you our top tips and tricks if you're looking to drive to Disneyland Paris from the UK.
Exciting.
So today, as mentioned, we are going to cover what you need to drive in France and if you're driving to Disneyland Paris in the UK, but also why you might want to drive and what are sort of the benefits and therefore what are our tips and tricks for doing so.
Exciting, yeah. We go very soon back to Disneyland Paris, and the last time we went was in April, half term, which was a lovely visit. It was really good, and we learnt lots of new things, which I think we'll take with us to our next trip.
Yeah, exactly. So now do things like, do you need high vis? Do you need a breathalyzer? Do you need a clean air certificate? Whatever one of those is. But we'll come to that. First of all, I just want to talk about why we decide to drive to Disney. Ultimately, we think it's the best way to get to Disney from the UK, especially if you live where we do, which is just outside of North London. And ultimately, there's sort of three ways really that you can get to Disneyland Paris. The first is driving. The second,
you can get the Eurostar.
Exactly, straight from London, direct.
But that is going to be changing as of next year. Yeah,
they are changing the direct trains. And then the third one is flying. Of course, if you do live local to Disneyland Paris, you could walk or cycle. But yeah, so in terms of those options, we personally decided to drive because actually from speaking to other people who've done the other options, we find it's actually the quickest and easiest way. It's really nice to be a bit in control of your own destiny as well, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. And you're very comfortable with driving abroad, which I am not.
Yeah, do a lot of driving for work, so used to being in the car, so not too bothered by that. But also for us, the terminal at Folkestone is only about an hour and a half's drive away, so it's not too far. We can stop there, grab a coffee, go to the toilet, and get on the shuttle, which only takes 20 minutes, half an hour, and then you're in France, and it's just a straight run to Disney, so it is really nice and easy from that point of view. But what do you need to actually drive in France? That's the key thing. You mentioned there that you're uncomfortable driving in Europe, and it's not just about driving on the other side of the road, but there's actually completely different laws and requirements of what to have in your vehicle than what we have.
Absolutely. Right, should we go through our list?
So the first one to start with is actually, this is one that I think a lot of people probably wouldn't think of, but in the UK you can drive at 17. I don't know what the legal driving age is in France, but from the UK to be able to drive to France and drive in France, you have to be 18 years old.
18?
Yeah. And then you also have to make sure you have your passport with you. Of course, you should have that anyway when you're going, but if you were to go to France, stay in a hotel, and for whatever reason you were to leave some bags there, you can't do that. You have to have your passport in your car at all times when you're driving, and also your driving license as well. The next one is the details of your car. So you have to have the V5 document or the logbook of your car with you in the car when you drive to France. And if you have a lease car or a company car, you actually have to have a letter of permission from that lease company. Ultimately, company cars typically are lease cars. You have to have a letter of authorization to be able to drive that car abroad. And then there's also a document, apologies for looking down, I just need to make sure I get this name right. But it's a VE105 document, which you also have to do, and that can take a few weeks to get. So I have a company car, I'll be driving that to Paris when we go in the next sort of 30 days, which is really exciting. So I've had to apply for all of these documents and that permission letter, and it took about 4 weeks for me to get them.
Which is good, because therefore we've done it well within the time range and there's no sort of rush to get it just beforehand.
Yeah, exactly. It's the worst thing you want, isn't it, is last minute rush.
Yeah.
And then the next thing you need to get, and this is whether it's a private car or a lease car, is a copy of your insurance certificate. Of course, you should probably have this in the car at all times anyway, but you need to have a copy of your insurance certificate. And also, I urge you to check that your car, or your insurance rather, is valid for driving in Europe. A lot of insurance policies won't have this included, or if they do, they'll limit the number of days you can drive. So do make sure that your insurance covers you for driving in Europe. And I think a lot are only third party. Now, we would strongly recommend getting fully comp or paying the extra to increase that, because ultimately, if you have a crash in France, someone crashed into you, you crash into them, what are you going to do if you're stranded at the side of the road? It's not good.
It's good to be prepared.
Exactly, and which brings us on to the next point, which is roadside recovery. This isn't a requirement, but we strongly urge you to have breakdown cover for Europe. Nothing worse than being stuck on the side of a French motorway.
Scary.
Yes. The next one that you do have to have is a UK sticker. So we've actually got a GB sticker here. This is from our old car last time we went. But they've changed it. Last year, or this year, sorry, the rules changed and the GB sticker is no longer valid. You must have a UK sticker. Now, some cars have this on the number plate to the left-hand side. However, unless your car came out this year, ultimately it's probably going to have GB on it and you're going to have to get a UK sticker to put on the car. Although I've since found you can also get small stickers that you can actually put on the number plate to cover the GB and make it a UK, which is probably the easiest and actually most aesthetically pleasing way to do it. What we have found from sticking these on the car in the past is you get left with a horrible grimy mark around the outside of it, especially as on the drive there, you're doing a lot of motorway miles, you get a lot of dirt on the car, you actually do notice a bit of a mark which takes a while to come off.
Which is not great, especially if you love your car and you want it to be pristine.
No. The next one you need is a warning triangle. So Tony's got one here to demonstrate for you. But yeah, you must have a warning triangle in your car. Obviously this is used if you break down, if you have a crash, to warn other motorists. It's actually something they should probably make it legal in the UK that you have to have that. If you're fortunate enough to have new cars, you often get these sorts of packs. This is from my Tesla, but most new cars now will give you a pack like this. Inside it has a warning triangle. It's normally a first aid kit, a warning triangle and high vis. Now high vis is something you do definitely need, and you need one for every passenger in the car.
Yes, so we'll have 5 passengers in our car, and it's really sweet. Our little daughter, who's 3-year-old, saw that we got the high vis out. She went, a high vis. Strange that a 3-year-old knows what a high vis is.
Yeah, I think they wear them at nursery when they go to the park so they don't get lost, which is cute. But speaking of kids wearing high vis, I do advise as well, if you're having children in the car, to try and buy some children-sized high vis, because ultimately if you did have to use them, this isn't about just, it's best practice as well, isn't it? It's not just about being legal, and actually if you did have a breakdown, you did have a crash, you're standing by the side of the road, you don't want them swamped in something that doesn't fit them and ultimately then isn't safe. So I advise getting some that fit kids as well. The next one, and this is a really strange one that I actually didn't know the first time I was driving in France and didn't do it. But legally in France, apparently, if you wear glasses, as I do, you have to have a spare pair of glasses in your car in case your glasses get damaged or lost, which is a new one to me. I only found that out the last time we drove from watching someone else's video. But it was a really useful tip and something that I make sure I always do now.
That's good, yeah. I wouldn't know because I don't have glasses.
No. And then the next one, which is the sort of final requirement really, is the air certification certificate. So a lot of people will probably ask, as I did when I first heard of it, what is that? Ultimately, it's a sticker that you put on your car to say that you've checked that your car has low enough emissions to be allowed in the area you're driving into. So as an example, here in London, there is an ultra low emission zone, or ULEZ, and my old car, it was an old diesel Vauxhall, didn't meet those requirements. So if I drove into London, I had to pay a hefty fee to be able to do so. And if I was driving to Paris, I actually wouldn't have been allowed to drive it into Paris at all. So you have to go on the website and check that your car's compliant, and then you pay €10 and you get a sticker to put in your windscreen to say that it is. However, you don't need to buy this if you're just driving to Disneyland Paris from the UK, because you don't actually go through Paris, you go around the outside of Paris on a bit of a ring road. So only buy this if you plan on either staying in a hotel nearby the night before, which we've done before to break the journey up a bit, or if you're planning on going into Paris either the day before or sort of on your way home from Disney. Otherwise you don't need to get that certificate. And the final two, one of them isn't controversial, one of them is. The one that's not controversial is a spare bulb kit. Now, it's not a requirement to have a spare bulb kit. However, it's illegal to drive a car in France with the headlight out or any light on the vehicle not working. Whereas in the UK, they can be a bit lenient. They might let you drive to Halfords and get a new bulb fitted. Ultimately in France you will get fined if you have a light out. So it's strongly recommended and urged by the RAC and the AA to carry a spare bulb kit for your vehicle. This is from our old vehicle. The new car actually has LED headlights, so they're unlikely to actually have a problem, but if they do, it's only one small LED within a larger cluster, so it's not something you can easily replace. You'd actually have to get it replaced by the manufacturer, so you can't really carry spare bulbs on a lot of modern cars with LEDs, but do check your own vehicle and have a think about whether you want to carry those or not.
Absolutely.
And the last one is controversial. What's that?
An alcohol test.
The alcohol test. So for the last 3-4 years, it's been very unclear whether you do or you don't have to take a breathalyzer in your car when driving in France. They actually released a statement last year clarifying this, and you do not need to take a breathalyzer with you.
But we still recommend you just don't drink and drive.
Well, exactly. You shouldn't drink and drive anyway. But in France, again, you know, it's a different country, different laws. Be very, very careful. And actually, the recommendation is, you know, don't even try and have one drink and drive. Just if you're going to drink, don't drive, and be safe.
Absolutely.
And then the final thing that I just wanted to mention is, this time for us it's a bit of a different journey when we go to Disney. And actually there's a couple of bits we've missed as well, some tips and tricks which we'll come on to right at the end. But our next trip is a bit different, and we're going to be going in the Tesla for the first time, so in an electric car. Ultimately, we will have to charge at some point in France, so we're going to be making a video documenting that journey, or that'll be on a secondary Tesla channel that I have, and I'm sure we'll update you guys closer to the time when that comes out. But let's get into the tips and tricks of driving in France. The biggest tip I would say from driving, this is one of your favourite ones, isn't it, is what it enables you to do on the way.
Yeah, so we found a really great, it's like a supermarket, a French supermarket within like a shopping complex. Probably only 15-20 minutes from the actual Disneyland Paris itself. And when we found this, and we actually stayed in a hotel nearby, we were able to go in and get some amazing snacks to take with us into the park, which is incredible. I mean, I've got pictures, so hopefully we can put some pictures maybe here. Yeah. Some beautiful food platters and everything, and it was just incredible to walk around as well. And yeah, that was really, really helpful, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think, I might be wrong, I think it was a Carrefour supermarket. I'll pop up if I'm wrong and it's a different one, but it's one of the French supermarchés. And yeah, the French supermarkets are amazing. Unlike in the UK, they don't live off ready meals, and it's all just full of the most amazing ingredients. So it's not just your typical wine and cheese, although there is a fantastic selection of those that you can bring back as gifts, and for yourself, of course. But it's all the other food that's available in the shop is really, really good. They're really good value. If I can find the one that we go to, I will link it down below as sort of a location, because it's very close, as you say, 15, maybe 20 minutes away from Disney, and you pass it on the way in and out. So on the way of driving to Disney, you can pull in there and just load your car up with snacks. So Disney is really, really expensive for food and snacks. And actually, you know, I'm all for going for a nice meal out in Disney because it's themed and it's wonderful, but it can be very expensive. So what we try and do is have one meal in the park in the day, and then have snacks and our own food for the rest of the day. So having the opportunity to stop off nearby, get loads of drinks, get little drinks for the kids, get snacks, get crisps and sweets and all that sort of stuff, but also bread to make sandwiches. We do so. We're staying in Davy Crockett Ranch this time, which means that we'll have a fridge, so we're going to get some butter and some ham and things like that, so we can actually make our own sandwiches each day.
Because we live with two very fussy children.
Yes, yeah, very fussy eaters, but also it just saves some money that you can better spend on merchandise. And that is the next tip, is by driving you get to buy lots of merch, which definitely makes Tony happy.
Yes, definitely one of my highlights.
Yeah, you're then not limited by a carry-on on the aeroplane, or you get similar if you go on the Eurostar, I believe. So you're not limited by what you can fit in your suitcase and how heavy it is. Ultimately, you're only limited by the space in your car, which, as long as you don't pack too heavy on the way out, you can bring lots of stuff back with you.
I'll have to pack light this time, going with my mum coming with us this time. And I think I took each of my bags and like a million costumes, so I can't take that many because we've got an extra person.
Exactly, and if you stay in the more budget hotels in the Disney park, which actually we do recommend, because ultimately you don't spend that much time in your hotel room when you're at Disney, you're in the parks, it's just somewhere to sleep, and the quality of the rooms is excellent across the board. But if you stay in like Santa Fe as an example, you can park your car outside your hotel room, so getting your luggage in is really simple. Being able to access stuff in your car is really nice and easy. Yeah. And staying in Davy Crockett's Ranch, we're actually going to be driving from there to the park every day. So again, you have your car to ferry all the stuff to the park for you. It just makes life a lot easier. And then the final sort of, I say it's a tip or a trick, it's not either really, it's just something that's a nicety of being in the car, is the kids are really relaxed. So, you know, we're going during the night this time, it means they can sleep in the car, and they haven't literally got to wake up until we get there. They can stay asleep the entire time. We might have to give them a poke when it's a passport check, but apart from that, they can just sleep the whole time, and it just makes life so easy and relaxed.
Because they do ask questions to the kids at passport control. They do. They like to chat to them and see where they're going. And of course, normally like, I'm going to Disney. It's really excited.
Yeah, exactly that. And then our final tip to close out the video is that we think that the Channel Tunnel or the shuttle is better than getting the ferry personally, because we'd rather just get on our way and go. It's so fast. Whereas when you go on the ferry, you know, it takes significantly longer, 4 or 5 times longer. However, if you are coming from more of the north of the UK, you know, you've got a long drive down to the coast, perhaps the ferry is the right option for you, because then you get a bit of a break in your journey. You can have some breakfast if it's early, or dinner if it's late, and break up your journey a little bit. But for us, we'd rather just crack through it, get on the train and go. And actually the train drops you off further into France, so when you're off the other side in Calais, you've got less of a drive to get to Disneyland Paris.
Yep.
But that's our tips and tricks. Please do let us know if you've got any that we've missed out. Pop them in the comments below. It's always good to know more tips and tricks of what you guys like to do when you go to Disney. But I hope you found some of this information useful. We will be vlogging and documenting our travel day to Disney, so you'll get to see what the whole thing's like, from trying to wake kids at 1 AM to packing the car, to ultimately trying to do that journey, and well, not trying to, doing that journey in an electric car and what that's like. But we'll document that whole process for you. And
we will be doing like a video as well, just telling you how we prepare with luggage and all other things before we actually set off. So we've got some good top tips for that as well.
Yeah, and we'll also be, before we go, releasing a tips video for when you get to Disneyland Paris. Some of the first things we recommend doing, and sort of special places we recommend you make sure you check out when you're there. And of course, lots of videos in the parks.
Yes, especially of the characters. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, we'll see what it's like. Last time our journey was very, very successful with characters. Very, very successful.
Yeah. So hoping for the same, and it's Christmas when we go, so new season, and it's going to be wonderful.
Santa!
Thank you all for watching. We'll see you in the next one.
Bye!